Hey guys, weekend energy update, and we got a lot happening energetically this weekend. We are in a very energetically powerful window right now, really honestly between now and the middle of November when Pluto enters the sign of Aquarius. It is fireworks season. Things are probably, there could be some very fierce power struggles going on, very like dominant confrontational forces coming up against one another, clashes of wills underway. And there's this underlying battle, honestly, playing out between like fact and fiction, fantasy and reality, conscious and unconscious, the sleep, the dream, and the awakening, okay? We have an exact Mars-Neptune trine that is coming to its like full exactness on Sunday. Mercury in the sign of Scorpio is also playing into that trine. This is happening in water signs. Again, like everything right now is indicating that we're in a period of time where we are figuring some things out on like a very deep and fundamental level that are totally game changing, even to the extent of like how we are viewing reality itself and where power is stemming from, who's pulling the strings, and what we are and are not going to continue to participate in moving forward. A lot of this is likely to be very relevant again this weekend. Also, issues having to do with both the victim complex and like savior complexes with this Neptunian energy going on. A lot of people could be trying to escape reality. There could be a lot of active avoidance of legitimate truths as well. Again, this whole concept of like, on one hand, people waking up and like seeing things through a whole new perspective, and on the other hand, like people adamantly, stubbornly, actively refusing to acknowledge perhaps, you know, the cracks that are showing in the facades and stuff like that. So very interesting times that we're in, you guys. Probably going to be all over the place this weekend and moving through this next couple of weeks. Let's get into our report of the weekend. Let's bring all this together in some more detail and see perhaps what we might be navigating through as we approach next week. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Friday, October 25th, 2024. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the weekend, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. In this video, we're going to look at the energy, the transits, the aspects that we have coming together this weekend, and what we therefore may be able to expect in terms of how things are playing out for us this weekend, and where we're going also energetically as we move into the energy of next week. Now, we should understand that, of course, we are at a pretty epic point in our unfolding cosmic blueprint right now. We're at a very powerfully transformative point in time, and our experiences are likely to reflect that. This could be happening in terms of relationships. It could be happening in terms of career. It could be happening in the context of governments and authorities and like long-standing institutions of all kinds. And things could honestly just get very heated, very explosive. They could be very, very volatile and confrontational as we move through the weekend and into the energy of next week. Now, another theme that I kind of want to bring up front, and I will be sure to say over and over and over again throughout the course of this report, as I usually do, there is this, you know, I'm perceiving this battle going on, this war waging between the concepts of, or the themes of, or things having to do with people's perceptions of fantasy and reality, fact and fiction, unconscious and conscious, and again, like things having to do with sleep or slumber or, you know, hypnotized dream state, fantasy, and some type of radical awakening. And that is because alongside this Mars-Pluto opposition, which is these two powerful forces, both dominant in and of their own regard, coming head to head with one another, being fed by this trine from both, on one hand, Mars trining Neptune, on the other hand, Uranus trining Pluto, okay? Uranus is the planet ruling awakening. Neptune is the planet ruling the dream state and this slumber, okay? So when we've got sort of like this energy indicating some type of literal like battle underway, or to perhaps polarized but equally dominant and powerful forces coming up one against one another, and they're both being fed by this like radically different energy, right? One representing Neptune in the end of Pisces, very much to me associated with our current breakdown. Neptune's retrograde right now as well. Breakdown and release from the age of Pisces, which is the age that we are exiting right now, while simultaneously we are emerging into and entering into, transitioning into the age of Aquarius. And that is the planet or the sign ruled by Uranus that is feeding the Plutonic energy. So it's real interesting. Like, people are going to be, I feel like, fighting tooth and freaking nail, hard-headed, stubborn, unwilling to budge for the illusion, like literally, or for the fantasy, or to not have to acknowledge the reality in some type of way. On the other hand, there is this like dynamic, active, like spiritual warrior energy for the awakening, for the truth, for like the future. So it's like the past and the future, and the mental states or the belief systems associated with them really being the foundation or the root or the core of what is driving, I think, these confrontations, these conflicts, these power struggles that are underway right now, vying for control and dominance over the trajectory with which things are going to proceed going forward. And we know right now, and it's so interesting as well, because you guys know the main, I guess, like concept of this channel is narrating the shift of the ages, acknowledging that we are in a pretty condensed transition of ages right now at this specific period of time, and taking a look at, you know, on the more minute day-to-day level, how these subtle activations, or not so subtle activations like we have going on now, are actually playing a role in facilitating that transition through how they're impacting us, the changes that we're making, and how that is rippling out, extrapolating out to the greater overall whole, and really bridging us into this new energy. It's happening on an energetic level within the individual that is then extrapolating to the overall whole, and over time, this is how we go through a shift of the ages. And so that's what we're looking at on this channel. And so, you know, when I see energy coming together like this, especially at this specific period of time, when there's such an emphasis on the Neptunian energy and also such an emphasis on the Uranian energy, which would be Neptune, Pisces, the age of Pisces, the past, and Uranus, Aquarius, the age of Aquarius, the future, Pluto right on the brink of entering the sign of Aquarius for the first time formally in 250 years, about to start a 20-year Pluto and Aquarius transit, kicking off a Pluto Aquarius generation, which again we haven't had in 250 years. And meanwhile, Neptune is about to leave and exit the sign of Pisces, begin a new cycle, you know, through the sign of Aries, at least through the Western tropical perspective. And then we've got this Mars-Pluto dynamic setting up, which of course is always going to be a very powerful and confrontation-oriented energy, being fed by Neptune and being fed by Uranus. So we've got the future, you guys, we got the past, we got this, the illusions and the projections and the beliefs of the past, Pisces, playing into this head-to-head combat we've got going on between these two powerful forces. And we've got Uranus, the Great Awakener, also feeding right into that energy and the transformations that are underway as a result. So, you know, when we look at it in that context, it helps us to understand the significance of it all, why things are happening the way that they're happening right now, why so many things seem like they're perhaps coming to a boiling point, coming to a head. Boiling point is another very good way of describing this energy when we have Neptune and Mars coming into an exact trine with each other this weekend, while Mars opposes Pluto. And we've also got Mercury in Scorpio and the Sun in Scorpio. Very like hot water, even like steam or just boiling point type of energy scenarios, situations going on. But again, this is like, they're significant. Things that are happening now are very fated. Like, there's a major vibe of karmic release and like the destined snap back sort of associated with that. It's like these cycles, karmic cycles, generational cycles that have been perpetuating for long periods of time. And I'm talking, like when I'm talking about long periods of time, I'm talking about literally like the past 2,000 years. This is a shift of an age, okay? The dominant frequencies that have been playing themselves out, both the lower and higher octaves of that energy over the past 2,000 years, which is essentially like our historical recollection of things generally. That is what we're moving out of. That is what we're transitioning out of. That is what is breaking down right now. And so the karmic and generational stories and loops and situations associated with that, it's like these new legacies are being birthed. We're being given a new opportunity to like totally recreate ourselves and how our seeds are going to be planted and grow and bloom over the course of the next 2,000 years. And because we're moving into an age of Aquarius, which actually at this point in time is an ascending age of Aquarius, we are ascending out of the darker age energy where we have been more disconnected from the emanations of the galactic center just by way of where we've sort of been on the galactic plane. And we are coming into greater contact with the galactic center, which also just generally, when humanity is able to receive stronger galactic energies, it stimulates our brains, okay, and it wakes us up. Like I do think that is historically, you know, when you look into the golden age periods of time, I think that those are periods of time where humanity is just more energetically stimulated on a mental level. So like we're smarter, we use more of our brain, we probably have like more like powers, you know what I mean? And we just know how to, we're more enmeshed kind of with the cosmic consciousness and everything so that would be associated with that, you know what I mean? But then as we fall out of proximity in the same way with the galactic center, and we are no longer receiving the same amount of emanations, that in some ways I think cuts us off vibrationally from that spiritual source, from that cosmic awareness and awakening. And it's sort of like when we lose touch with all of that kind of like cosmic magic that is available to us in the golden ages, and therefore it is represented through these darker age periods of humanity where we struggle a lot more and we have a lot harder time getting on out there. And I think that we're, you know, always going through these cycles of time essentially in and out of these ages. And just because of where we're at now, we are ascending into a 10,000 year ascension towards a golden age, that this 2,000 year Aquarius age is at the foundation of. And so I think that this is just the beginning. I think over the course of the next, I've been saying this, 20 years as Pluto goes through this Pluto Aquarius transit and then into this upcoming age of Aquarius, over the course of the next couple hundred years, couple of thousand years, we are definitely going to find ourselves as kind of a human collective much more in alignment with like the cosmic nature of our reality, and probably our belief systems will have shifted dramatically, and the planetary alignments that we have going on right now with this building Mars-Pluto opposition being fed by both Neptune in the end of Pisces, the age of Pisces on its way out, and Uranus in the sign of Aquarius trining Pluto in Capricorn, this earth sign energy that is producing these crazy radical awakenings and transformation. It is indicating that that is likely to be the root of the things that are building into opposition as well in the world around us and in our lives as we move through the weekend, and again definitely into next week. November 1st through November 4th are when this opposition will be exact, and there's a lot more to say about it. I actually don't want to get too caught up much more than I already have in talking about this energy, because we're going to be talking about it a lot next week. But I do also want to say, like, it's so crazy to me. I had actually forgot the nature of the Mars-Pluto conjunction that this opposition is the midpoint of. Whenever we're dealing with two planets in an opposition, it's sort of like the full moon phase of their cycle together. When two planets align, they're beginning a new cycle together when they come to their conjunction, which plays out throughout the course of the first square, the opposition, the third quarter square, and then they come back together again. And depending on the length of the orbits of the planets, that determines the amount of time that the cycles are. Mars takes approximately 2 years to transit the entire zodiac. So he basically comes into contact with each of the planets by conjunction, beginning a new cycle once every 2 years. And then when he hits the opposition to those planets, that would mark the full moon phase of that planet, or the mid or of that transit of that cycle, or the midpoint of that cycle when things are kind of coming to their full fruition. And I will tell you guys, this particular Mars-Pluto cycle that we have arrived at the midpoint of, essentially, and next week we have those 4 days where that energy is exact. This was a big one, and it because it wasn't just Mars and Pluto. If you guys have been, there's probably not, I don't know who's been following my channel since 2022, but I made a video about it back then. But Mars and Pluto and Venus, masculine and the feminine, with the Lord of the Underworld, massive transformation. That was actually the origin story of the energy that we are at the midpoint of the full moon phase of right now. So it's so interesting. And again, like, I don't want to get too caught up in this because I'm going to be talking about it next week. But like, if you guys have been following my work, you know how much I've been going on and on and on about the feminine energy being like purified, recalibrated, like taken from an inverted and distorted form and like cleaned up and reintegrated, and like the effect that that is going to have on really transforming the way that things are growing in the world around us moving forward as a part of this generalized cleanup process that the age of Aquarius is bringing in right now, as we are exiting that age of Pisces and entering this age in alignment with the cosmic awakening that is pulling us forward. Yeah, so we've got, like, Venus was actually a part of this particular conjunction as well, which again is not surprising me and is gonna give us a lot to talk about in the coming days as this energy draws closer into its exactness and we experience it. But it is really like a fundamental regenerative effort that we have going on in the context of the planets and the planetary placements right now. Things are probably going to be all over the place, you guys, like now moving through mid-November, perhaps even December. There are contradictory energies going on right now, and these energies are likely to be manifesting along like very oppositional or opposing octaves and spectrums. Like the very same energies are likely to produce two very polarized results, is what I am saying, that honestly are kind of at odds with each other as well. Very, very strong spiritual influence at play right now. There is a true ability to connect to a higher power and be motivated through this like spiritual guidance, spiritual union, like the whole concept of the spiritual warrior. Really profound, really powerful, really going to be like, you know, coming on stage, entering the arena, you know, showing up ready to perform as we move through this period of time. But the, like, on the other hand of that, energy is also, as I've said, probably going to be very volatile, very destructive, and people are going to be like clinging for dear life to their misconceptions and to their false beliefs and to their like trance state and to their dream state. Like, a lot of people are not going to want to wake up. For a lot of people, this is going to probably literally feel like your alarm going off at 4 o'clock in the morning when you're in the middle of like some good dream. It is also giving, I mean, I talk about the Matrix. A lot of people talk about the Matrix, the movie, in the, you know, in terms of its role kind of like as a metaphor for a lot of the things that we find playing out in our reality or perceived reality. But the red pill, like that whole concept, if you've seen the Matrix, that's what we're dealing with. Like, a lot of people, it's like a collective red pill that we're about to have going on, and people aren't going to be choosing to take it. Okay. So again, like, that also could be indicating where a lot of this conflict and confrontation could be coming from. In our personal lives, I think that a lot of this is going to boil down to the experience of being motivated by some revelation or some like deep inner knowing or intuitive insight that we're coming to, or connection to a higher power or something like that, revelation or belief that is really driving some type of drastic action. This is going to be a common theme that we've got going on. People motivated to act through some passionate belief, be it, again, a belief in something false, a belief in an illusion, or a shift in belief, or an awakening, or like a new belief, a change in perspective that is totally at odds with that which was there previously, or, you know, just kind of like the other side of the spectrum energy. Mars opposite Pluto, Cancer, Capricorn. The reason why this is, as I said, you know, this is something that we get every 2 years. It is always a powerful, potent, confrontational energy. But the real, like, big significance of it to me is that it is happening at 29 degrees of the sign of Capricorn in Cancer. Capricorn, I mean, that axis in and of itself is like the home and family versus like government and authority. It's like the people versus the government, where this is like where these two planetary bodies are facing off at 29 degrees. That's the last critical degree of the sign. That's like the most potent energy of the sign. And Pluto won't be back in this position for another like 250 years. So for this energetic activation to be taking place at this degree, it really is like the breakthrough into the new reality. Because right after this, Mars is going to enter Leo, and then Pluto in the mid to end of November 18th, I believe it is going to be entering Aquarius. And this is a whole new world. This is a whole new reality, like in terms of where the power is held. So this is probably going to be like groundbreaking power struggles, revolt, rebellion, revolution, like people not standing down. Again, this is probably going to bring into context some type of an authority, some type of a control structure, and the common person, the common man, the individual, okay, versus the rules or the authority or the control, and an unwillingness for either to kind of give. And perhaps themes of like a fight to the death, but we are in Scorpio season. We are at a great turning right now, turning of the ages, and that is what's happening. It's the sinking ship of the Capricornian generation, the control structures, the age of Pisces, like the power systems and structures and all of the ways that they've functioned and controlled and established in the past, and that which is emerging now, that which is novel, that which is new, that which is undefined, that which is unregulated to a lot of extent. It is like the wild, wild west sort of this new era that we're moving into right now. So I don't know, like I don't really know that much to say about it, because it's all Uranian. Like we're going places that we've never gone before once we move through this energy, but getting there is just probably going to be a pretty big show. Very potent expressions of these energies, which are always powerful. This is just about like the biggest dose of them that we can possibly get. And then we've got the Neptune influence. Neptune is illusions and projections, the hypnosis, the trance, the dream, the slumber, the detachment, right? But Neptune's retrograding. Like that's another thing. When planets retrograding, like I've been talking about Saturn's transit through the sign of Pisces. Normally Saturn lays foundations, it forms, it structures, it regulates, it controls. But when Saturn's retrograding, especially in Pisces, it breaks things down. Like it deconstructs. It is like dismembering and disassembling things. There is a lack of authority. There's a lack of control. And a lot of that is what we've been dealing with and moving through as well. This is also breaking down belief systems, Saturn representing systems, Pisces representing beliefs. So that type of thing has been ongoing. And now we're talking about direct transits happening with Neptune, who is also retrograde. Neptune ruling the illusion, as I just said, the fantasy, all those, you know, Neptune keywords that I was just giving out there. When it's retrograde, this is releasing us collectively from these states of hypnosis, from these illusions. This is spell breaking energy. So, and then being trined by Mars, and Mercury is also within range in the sign of Scorpio. We really kind of have a grand water trine playing out. Mars and Neptune are exact, but Mercury's also, I think, where's Mercury? Mercury, this is happening at 28 degrees of Pisces where Neptune is, Cancer where Mars is, and Mercury's at 22 degrees of Scorpio. So Mercury is right in this game as well. And that is the deeper knowing. The illusion is breaking down actively through perhaps some type of like X-ray vision or penetrating insight. There is this drive to figure things out and to get to the bottom of it. And that in and of itself, right, that trine right there, that Neptune retrograde with the Mercury, the illusions that are breaking down, the spells that are breaking down, the trance or hypnosis or whatever that we're being released from on one hand, and then the Mercury and Scorpio energy, this deeply penetrating insight, both facilitating their energies and feeding into what we're doing, how we're behaving, how we're acting against the huge opponent, the formidable opponent that Pluto represents over there. So you can see, you guys, how this is being represented energetically by the ways that the planets are coming together. Deeper knowing, the breakdown of illusions that are driving our actions, driving what we're doing, people waking up to perhaps a delusion that they've been operating under, or the true power structure that has been pulling the strings of things or at play somehow. And based on what we're learning, this is changing the entire game, causing people to just totally say, nope, I'm not playing anymore. I'm opting out. I'm doing things in another way. Bucking the system. That's something that we're probably going to be seeing going on. And again, revolting, revolution, rebellion, powerful clashes of wills, infighting among groups and families and, networks and industries and stuff like that could also be prominent right now. And with Mars and Pluto in opposition, things always have the potential of getting kind of ugly. And with them at these last degrees and all this Scorpio energy, all this stuff being unearthed and like dug up from the depths so that we can, it can see the light of day and we can decide and choose accordingly based on actually having the information, what we're going to do next, if we're going to continue to participate in the ways that things have been operating, or if there's going to be some type of radical transformation that goes down that changes the ways that everything is done going forward. This is where we're at, okay? The problem is, while on one hand, there's going to be like this spiritual warrior energy that is driving a lot of this. On the other hand, there's going to be this, as I've described already, active avoidance, mental illness, detachment from reality, refusing to face reality, stubbornly fixating on the delusion and acting accordingly. Mercury in Scorpio is very stubborn, very dug in. This Mars, Mercury, Neptune trine could really go two very distinct different directions. Again, on one hand, it's this spiritual warrior energy driven by this obsession to get the truth, expose things, and be released from any type of like enslavement, essentially based in ignorance or faulty belief systems or something that have been like causing us to do and act and behave in a certain way because we didn't know, but now that we do know, we're like taking things in our own hands and like radically changing everything. That's one way. The other way, okay, with Mars and Neptune and Mercury, really like, as I said, fixating on, gripping to like tooth and nail to the illusion, to the victimhood, to old woundings, weaknesses, vulnerabilities, reasons why we can't do it, reasons why we need to surrender our power, reasons why we can't be accountable. A lot of people could really be like actively avoiding taking responsibility for things, doing what they need to do, and really just in sort of the woe is me and playing that up a lot. Victim complexes and savior complexes. On the other hand, a lot lot of people might be deriving power from like swooping in and feeling like they're saving the day for people that are more vulnerable or that they perceive to be less capable than themselves in some type of way. So those are also things that can be prominent when we've got this type of energy. Toxic empathy and everything that goes along with that as well. And generally, a lot of people just emotionally driven, unable to separate themselves from their emotions to the point of seeming like they're some type of zombie in some type of trance, can't snap them out of it, and they're just like on autopilot doing what they're doing. So we've got that, and that's going to be coming up against this honestly like awakened and enlightened spiritual energy that is also motivating people. So conscious and unconscious vying for power and dominance. That's where we're at, you guys. I feel like that's what all this is coming to a head about, which is also represented by our transition from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, the age of the dream into the age of the awakening. And also this more subtle generational shift from the age of the generation of Capricorn into the generation of Aquarius, the energy we've been in for the next 16 years, transitioning to the energy we'll be in for the next like 20 years, which is a decentralization of power from the few controlling the many to the many controlling themselves. Essentially, that is also what this transition and process is representing. It is a phase of self-actualization that humanity will collectively go through one by one by one. And at the end of that process, we won't need controllers or control systems or like governments and stuff like that in the same way that maybe we did require them to be successful in the previous age of Pisces, which was all about schooling together sort of like under a hierarchy. Okay, we're out of that, we're transitioning out of that energy, and it is again being represented here. That's why I feel like it's so important to look at the bigger picture, because if we weren't as aware of where we're at transitionally right now, moving from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius, this chart would just hit different. Like this energy would hit different. We wouldn't be able to see the significance, and it would be I feel like it would just seem a lot more confusing and chaotic than it actually does when you pull it out and you can see the relevance, the honestly kind of like the necessity behind a lot of the ways that things are pulling themselves together and playing right now. So I feel like this is a kind of a collective red pill that we've got going on between now and essentially, I guess, like December, but really it's going to continue on through the next 20 years where all of these revelations are going to make themselves known to us, breakdowns in previous belief systems, okay? And everything is just probably going to be a little extra volatile over this next couple of weeks. Very up in the air. Literally anything can happen, but the level of intensity is probably going to be there. Utilize the very powerful spiritual energy right now to guide your way. Release, purge, cleanse toxic people and situations from the past, from your life. Plan, prepare, organize, strategize. This is really going to help us in terms of like getting a clearer vision of where we're going and how we're going to get there when we do go through this breakdown process and this sort of like, you know, we may just find ourselves moving through a reality where we don't have a previous experience or a previous precedent for like what to do next. You know what I mean? Like uncharted territory, places we've never been before, like no necessarily template or model of like how we need to do it, like kind of coming up with a new way of doing it on the spot. And so the more we can kind of like orient and gear our thinking along those lines, or at least like clean up our lives and have our stuff together to the point where even if we're maneuvering chaos that may be unfolding around us, like we don't feel like our personal situation is a representation of that chaos itself, I think that can benefit us as well. Surrendering to a higher power, that which you can't control right now, that is also very much in alignment with everything this energy is asking of us. Expect the unexpected. There is probably actually going to be unexpected news and information that maybe is coming at us, especially over this next upcoming week. Mercury is moving into opposition with Uranus. I said in the energy of Sunday, Mercury is at 22 degrees of Scorpio. Uranus right now is at 27 or 20, yeah, 27 degrees of Taurus. So we're going to have a Mercury-Neptune opposition that is, or not Neptune, Mercury-Uranus opposition that is hitting us this week as well, which is going to bring more of that awakening, sudden revelation, secrets revealed, shocking, surprising information. Didn't see that one coming. That's going to be another theme that we have going on next week. Friday and Saturday this weekend, just to kind of get refocused on what this report is supposed to be about, the moon is transiting the sign of Leo, is going to be squaring both Uranus and Mercury in Scorpio and Taurus, other fixed signs. So things generally, or more specifically, maybe like events, parties, celebrations, or just plans could be disrupted, not go according to plan. There can always be shakeups and surprises, just like kind of random disruptions and stuff. When we've got a moon squaring Uranus and Mercury, who are building an opposition, people are probably, of course, going to be pretty touchy and emotionally sensitive and reactive about things as well. So, but I mean, I basically said that over and over and over this whole report, but just keep it in mind in terms of your interpersonal, like conversations and dynamics and situations that you've got going on. People could be reacting to things in ways that you weren't expecting with the moon squaring Mercury. So there's, or moon squaring Mercury and Uranus in their opposition. So there's that. Also, another thing to keep in mind, like, don't take it personally if people just aren't all that affectionate or like touchy-feely or kind of like wanting to be just like in the mix and, you know, chopping it up and stuff in the energy of this weekend. The moon on Sunday specifically is going to be transiting through Virgo, coming into an opposition with Saturn, which can kind of give us just a bit of a shortness, like not super social, more hermit vibes. Moon and Virgo opposite Saturn, yeah, but then also squaring Venus and Sagittarius. So it's going to be real hard to please people, I think, in the energy of this weekend. They're likely to be not affectionate, like not the most pleasant things maybe to say about things, kind of harsh, kind of critical, kind of cold, like nothing is really good enough type of energy. Again, you know, don't feel bad about yourself if you just can't make people happy or can't please people this weekend, especially maybe in relationships, especially maybe women. It just sort of is how it is out there. People are going to generally probably be feeling, as a result of this particular aspect and everything that it's going along with, just maybe overly limited, restricted, suppressed, especially in relationships, love, money, not being able to get what we want, not being able to feel how we want to feel, you know what I mean? Not being able to have what we like that type of stuff could be just making people a bit not their most, let's say, amicable selves this weekend as well. So people could also be taking things quite seriously, just not in the best mood. Kind of a heavy vibe could be going on. Mars trine Neptune is also going to lower physical energy levels. You may find yourself just not really feeling like getting out of bed or doing too much. That would be as a result of this transit. Low physical drive to assert ourselves, maybe just like not really feeling all that with it. But it is a good energy to act out of compassion or altruism. Like, again, this victim savior complex, like a lot of people are going to find themselves in need of a helping hand this weekend, and a lot of people are going to be there to offer it as well. Mars trining Neptune, the higher octaves of the Neptune energy, it is this like spiritually infused, compassionate, empathetic, altruistic energy that just wants to be of service. So if you find yourself in that place, volunteering, you know, charity type of stuff, or just generally like being of service to something larger than yourself, is another good way to use this energy as it's manifesting out there. Also, focusing on our goals, focusing on our vision of where we're going, where we want to be, and what we need to do to kind of move ourselves there at this point in time. It's a good utilization of the energy with the moon in Virgo opposite Saturn. This gives us a great ability to organize, to focus, to plan, to strategize. Also, of course, you know, purging, cleaning, cleansing. This is right in alignment with the energy, fixing things up that have needed to be repaired for a while, and cleaning up our lives and our environment. And as I said, you know, organizing, strategizing our resources or our next steps. This is a good use of the energy this weekend. Getting into ego battles, though, using manipulation or deception to gain control, or waking up and choosing violence because somebody doesn't agree with your belief or your idea about something, that's probably not the option that you want to go with. A lot of people will be going with that option, but the choice is yours. So that is what I think is going to be mostly playing itself out there. It's really funny too, because the degree where Mars is actually for this weekend coming into the trine with Neptune at 28 Cancer, that Sabian symbol is an Indian girl introduces her college boyfriend to the assembled tribe. And I feel like that very, very much describes where we're at with like this Pluto 29 Capricorn, Mars coming into the opposition. Like, we have reached the karmic ending of something that has defined our reality, defined the like way that things have been structured in our lives and reality, defined our belief systems generationally. It's a time of fated human evolution, represented by the age of Aquarius that we're moving into now. There's no going back. The Indian girl introduces her college boyfriend to the assembled tribe. Like, the future has arrived and things are changing, you guys. We also have the Earth at 5 degrees of Taurus. That Sabian symbol is a widow at an open grave. Again, the end, the transition point. We've got the Sun at 5 Scorpio, a massive rocky shore, resists the pounding of the sea. Jupiter at 21 Gemini, a tumultuous labor demonstration. The struggle may be relentless, but we're not going to cave and we're not going to give in here. Like, you can see demonstrated even through the symbolism, this abominable force that is not going to give in, and that is willing to like stand up and fight for perhaps what they feel is right. So that's what I gotta say, you guys. Transition point, crazy times, huge energy, epic stuff that we're likely to probably see play out here. Very unprecedented, not falling in alignment with past patterning and past templates of things. Breaking the mold, I think that is a good way to describe the energy that we're moving towards as well. So anyways, all that being said, let's get one final piece of advice. God, Spirit, Universe, what should we keep in mind? What do we need to know? What's going to benefit us to hold close as we move through this weekend and prepare to enter the energy of next week? What's just a good thing to remember? It says focus, you guys. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. Isaiah 26:3. Focus your thoughts on God and that part of you that is God. Tune in on God and his serenity over your life. When you can still your mind and think of God and be at peace in your mind, everything around you will fall into a peaceful routine in your home life, your business, and in all aspects of your life. Stay in this state of mind and you will prosper beyond your wildest dreams. So again, you know, I feel like I said this a couple times in this report, like, we need to stay focused on our goals. We need to, you know, kind of keep our focus on the task at hand, not allow ourselves to get caught up in maybe some of these fires that are waging around us, and, you know, tuning in again on a greater relationship to our higher selves, the spiritual influences in our lives that we're aligning with now, we're awakening to, that are driving us forward, staying focused on our commitment to being in alignment with our higher selves, our higher power right now. That's our guidance, you guys, as we move through the weekend and head towards next week. That's what I have to say about the energy for, or at least my perception of what we've got going on out there and how things are moving us through the weekend. I hope you guys liked it. If you did like the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you think they would also be interested in this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence here, for your feedback. I really appreciate knowing how this energy is affecting you guys in your lives. If you're having experiences that are in alignment with what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here whiteboard, I have a Facebook group linked in my description box below where I post those videos. You can click that link and find that and those images there. Come back with me on Monday, you guys. Obviously, as I have stated multiple times, we've got more big, intense, powerful energy that we are moving to next week. It is gonna be a big week and I'll be here to talk all about it. You should be here too. You don't want to miss this one, you guys. I will see you then. Have a beautiful weekend, and until next time, bye.